Hello, entrepreneurs, dreamers, business owners, and happy people with high hopes. Welcome to Cashflows with your host, Cash Matthews.
All right, welcome to Cashflows. Good afternoon. We are glad you're here. I am Cash Matthews. I'm the host today, and this show is sort of named after me a little bit, Kenneth.
Just a little bit.
But it implies that I'm talking, which is something I do a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah. So let's before we get going, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. Everything feels
Awesome.
pretty good. I obviously look pretty good.
Yeah.
And
That's what
still,
I was gonna, that was the first thing I was going to say right
I'm
there.
still living indoors, and yeah, things are going according to plan.
Awesome.
So glad to be here today. So Cashflows is here today to promote, what we would call the good life. And so whether it's business or personal, financial, physical, we bring leaders in from the community that they can share their story, that you might glean one or two things that could help you build your story. So we're glad you're here. The show is Cashflows, and I'd like to officially introduce my good friend, co-conspirator in Cashflows, Mr. Kenneth Bockham. Hello, Kenneth.
Hello.
Officially now introduced.
Oh, I'm so glad I could be here for that.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun, huh?
Yeah.
Working with entrepreneurs every day.
Oh, yeah.
I last night I was on my Commodore 64.
Yeah.
And I was online, and
Okay.
I got into I'd received a new AOL disc in the mail.
Right.
The thing, and that I kind of put them all together. Had an extra 15 minutes online.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah.
And so I did my dial up, made sure I didn't go over my minutes,
Right.
and I
right.
got into an entrepreneurial chat room
Yeah.
for country entrepreneurs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. And
Primarily those who still have dial-up, I would guess.
they were all on dial-up, and
yeah.
they were all digging the new Commodore 64. Oh,
Right.
that's a little bit older.
It is.
And anyway, I got into one of the chat rooms, and one of the guys on there, a guy named Stu Bob.
Oh, Stu Bob.
Stu Bob, he
I feel like I've met him somewhere.
apparently knows you, and wanted to ask you a question before we got the show going. And he said, "Could you ask Kenneth a question for me?" And I went, "Yeah, I'd be happy to do that." And so his question for you was, Kenneth, and I've got it right here. Here's his question from Stu Bob to Kenneth. Hey, Kenneth, what's a guy like you doing in a nice place like this?
Well, Stu Bob, thank you so much for your question and for your interest in my life and my whereabouts, apparently.
Yes.
So here's the thing. We keep running into all these like secret society kind of things, right?
Right.
We've joked about a couple of them here on the show. And these questions keep kind of blowing my cover too, because honestly, I've been promoted again. Again,
Oh.
it's a new thing every day. I'm now the undercover agent for the Secret Society of Politeness.
Ooh.
So I'm kind of, just checking on people, making sure we have all the mannerisms the way they need to be.
I like it, and I think politeness is kind of secret these days.
It seems to be, especially for those on the anonymous interwebs.
Yeah, we need to work on that. It'd be nice if we had a little bit nicer country to live in. Just, be nice to each other.
Yeah, be nice to each other.
All right, so
Little respect.
you are in charge of that.
Well, I'm an undercover agent, so
Okay.
not in charge, but I report to the people, and they pass it on to their people, and
Got it.
Yeah,
The people. All right.
the people. Yes.
Well, very cool. Well, we are excited today to have a local business coach in our midst, Mrs. Pamela Jean. I'm going to mess this up many times, I'm sure. Pamela Jean, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Cash.
we-
It's an honor.
We are glad to have you. Before we go too far, if you want to reach out, you'll love this show today because she coaches entrepreneurs on balance and business and other things that are relevant to your life. And these are things you probably put down on your goal sheet recently. So we are so excited about this show. You can reach Pamela Jean New Life. Am I saying it right?
No.
This is, give it to
Sure. It's Pamela Jean, anewlife.com.
There you I left out an A.
They wouldn't have found me without the A.
Pamela Jean, anewlife.com. Pamela Jean, anewlife.com. Thank you for that correction. And well, thank you for being here.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Well, we were excited to meet you. Now, we met through this Business Owners Networking group,
Yes, correct.
but we only met online.
Correct.
And so this is kind of that awkward first date that we're having here videotaping for
Exactly.
all
It
the
is a
work.
little awkward, but it's good. It'll be good.
Well, one of our goals this year, as we were doing our goal planning, was to do like 115 one-on-ones before the middle of January.
And you're doing it.
And we're videotaping
I
them.
love
That
it.
we are.
And you're doing it. That's
Yeah,
so good.
it's actually happening. Okay,
Yes, it
we're
is.
excited that you're here. Well, Pamela, we want to hear about your story. Now, when did you find the Bond Group? Have you been a member there for a while?
Probably about 2 years ago, I found the Bong group, or a year ago. I'm not sure exactly, but I've been a lurker and a reader when I have time. My client schedule is really tight and busy, so I don't have a lot of time to make the coffees or the lunches and things
Right.
like that because my calendar is quite full. But I love watching the camaraderie and the group come together in unity and support one another, and that's what it takes in business. Is we have to have support. Being an entrepreneur is a lonely thing. It's a
That's for
very
sure.
lonely, isolating thing at times. So having a group where you can network and talk to and find all of the solutions to the problems you have is really amazing.
So you've been able to see it grow up from probably almost nothing to where it is today?
Exactly. Yes. Every
Wow.
time I turn around, welcome new members, welcome new members. It is growing so much. But what I think is so amazing and inspiring, honestly, a person puts out a call and there's probably 25 responses
Right.
almost immediately
Right.
talking about, oh, I know this source. I have a person. I know a guy. I know
Right.
a girl. I know a woman. There's no question that doesn't get answered
Right.
in the Bond group.
Yeah, it's we've had so many of these things come through, and just to watch the answers. And I'm, even though we started the Bond Group, I look at it and we're amazed by how many people come on and solve problems for other people.
Exactly.
And I think we all need people.
We do need people, and that's the thing. The group has gotten so big. There's no way you could humanly possible
Yeah.
navigate all of it. But entrepreneurs, I think, are givers. Entrepreneurs are people that are willing to step up to the plate. They're workers.
Right.
They're visionaries. They're going to step up and help who they can help.
Yeah, and so that's been not just on a business level, but on a personal level.
Hmm.
Uh, 2 months ago, I lost my dad. The Bond Group shows up, and they did a food thing, and people are showing up at I mean, it was beautiful, not as a business thing, but as a human thing.
Right.
And the human side of entrepreneurship, it is beautiful.
It
And
is,
and
and
we're
it's about relationships, and
yeah.
that's something that I learned a long time ago when I started my first company. Was it is about relationships. It's relationships first, always.
Yeah, and that way after the business, you have something.
Exactly.
And so we're glad to be part of the Bong, and one of the things I like about it is just that I get to be one of the guys,
Mm.
not the guy.
Right.
And that way I meet people like Kenneth and Lori Zeller
Hmm.
and many of these people that now make my life a lot better.
Right.
So anyway, well, we're glad you're here. So let's talk about how you decided to go into business, and I want to hear a little bit about your business history. And
Sure.
I know you've done a lot of things. I know you and Lori were good friends, or still good friends, many
Hmm.
years later. And what inspired you to be an entrepreneurial type person?
Well, I think like most entrepreneurs and small business owners, not all, but a lot of entrepreneurs start out with the love of something. They
Right.
have a passion for something, whether it's taking care of animals or photography or whatever it is. We have a passion for something, and it was no different for myself. I worked in a marketing company for a bank, a local bank up in Northwest Iowa, is where I started, and I
Oh
was
boy.
working in marketing. One of my assignments was to work with a commercial photographer and get all of the shots we needed for the annual report. So I'm following this photographer around and showing him, here's our family to do a for the real estate section, etc. And I got to thinking, photography is like a business. I could do that and make money and make a living. Oh my God. It never occurred to me that that could actually be a business. So that's where it really started because it was a
Wow.
hobby of mine for most of my life. And I started playing with the idea of, you know what, I'm going to quit my marketing job at the bank and I'm going to start a studio. But here's the thing, Cash, I didn't know anything about anything.
Right.
And I think at 21 years old, ignorance is bliss when it comes to starting a business because I didn't know what I didn't know. And there was a lot of power in not knowing what I didn't know.
A lot of
So,
freedom in that.
oh my gosh, so much. And I wasn't really down the wisdom trail long enough to really think about the things I should be worried about because I didn't know they existed yet. So there was a blessing there for sure.
Right.
But I started my studio when I was 21 years old, didn't even know how to open a light stand. I knew how to compose and how to light, but I didn't know a lot of the mechanics. And
Right.
I
Wow.
dove in with both feet. I mean, head first.
So, and I I have so many questions I want to ask you. I love entrepreneurship.
Hmm.
I mean, when did it really hit you that you were an entrepreneur at heart? Like, was there a moment where you went, "This is how I am"?
Yes, when about 3 months after I had left my bank job, my supervisor of the bank, the VP of marketing, came back to me and said, "Hey, how's it going? Do you want to, we can find a spot for you if you want to come back." And I'm like, "I am never going back.
Wow.
So find someone else, fill your position. I'm where I'm supposed to be." So that was it didn't take me very long to realize that that's what I was meant to do.
Wow, I mean, that's a test as well because those
Hmm.
first 3 months of entrepreneurship, they can be kinda scary.
Kind of. Oh my
Y
gosh. Well, but it really wasn't because I was doing something I loved and I was working towards something that I knew I was meant to do, not just as a passion for photography and a love for something, but I knew I'm a lover of the Lord and it was a God move for me that this is what I was meant to do. And here's something that I think is so important. As a photographer for 34 years, um, I got to be the very first person to create an image for a tiny human, for a baby. And I think about families sitting around the table looking at pictures of their grandparents and great grandparents. Who was the person that pushed that button for the first time?
Wow.
Who was that got to document this person's life from day one and create those legacies? So I knew that it was a legacy driven business. It was about relationships. It was about creating something for people that they couldn't create for themselves.
Right. I think that's beautiful. The story, you're 21 years old, you leave a decent
It's a
job.
great job.
Yeah.
I loved my job.
And then they loved you enough to come back and try to get you to do it again,
Hmm.
but you had the wherewithal and maturity to go, "You know what? No, this is what I'm supposed to do."
Exactly.
Well, in that timing of you being a young entrepreneur
Hmm.
by choice,
Hmm.
were there coaches like you out in the world that you could go to? Did you have anybody to turn to?
Right. Oh my gosh. There's not, obviously, there was no internet then still. I
Right.
mean, it wasn't like it obviously is today. So there were, conferences I could go to, groups that I could connect with. It was a lot of learning from School of Hard Knocks, to
Yeah.
be honest. It was just learning by making mistakes and figuring it out, and then don't make that mistake again.
Right.
And
Well, okay.
can I just share one other thing
Yeah, please.
on that note? Because what I think made my business successful in the beginning early is because I didn't have a choice. It wasn't optional to not make money and income for my family. So I learned really early on that good, solid business decisions were necessary.
Right.
There wasn't an option of, oh well, if I don't succeed, it doesn't matter. Failure wasn't an option. Not succeeding was not an option. But I also knew if this gig doesn't work for me, I'm employable. I'll go get another job.
Right.
But I wanted it to work and it had to work. So I made really good business decisions early on and learned that that was the key of long-term success.
Okay, so yes, I love the attitude is I can't fail. Like I don't have an option.
Right.
And most people that a lot of people come into entrepreneurship because they love something.
Hmm.
There's another number of people that come in because they're just left no other choice.
Hmm.
And we see that here in this community is that people they lost a spouse, a job, and the world has changed so drastically. We see lots of people entering entrepreneurship. I mean, maybe they have something they love, but they got thrust into the role.
Right.
And it's so great that we have coaches for those people now because these times are very different. Like I didn't have a business coach. I was 20,
Hmm.
and the people that brought me into my business all quit. And they're like, "Hey, shut out the lights when you leave."
You're like,
And yeah, that was like week number one. I'm like, "Oh man." But it's great that you can do that. But you had to have challenges along the way. You're determined. You're good at what you do.
hmm
You have something you enjoy doing very much. But talk about the challenges. There had to be another side to this story. And what were they, and how did you manage to overcome them?
right. I think one of the biggest challenges was keeping all of the spinning plates spinning,
Oh man,
because
yeah,
there's so many of them. And in business, you have, the pricing, the sales, the client care, you have the taxes, you have the marketing, the budgeting, you have everything to spin. And when you're new, you don't have the luxury of, oh, I'll just hire someone because I don't like doing X, Y, Z, so I'm going to hire someone to do everything that I don't want to do.
Right.
That's not really an option either. You have to have certain levels of income before you can afford an employee. And that's where a lot of entrepreneurs get that wrong, is they think, oh, I'm going to hire someone to sell because I hate sales. I don't want to do sales. I'm going to hire someone. Well, you don't have enough money to pay anyone for anything. So you're going to have to learn to love it for a while until you grow at a certain level. So I think the challenges were in the beginning is establishing a balance. Obviously, when I started my studio, I did everything and anything. You know, it's like your dog needs a picture, I'll take it. You know, you would do anything just to keep the cash flow coming. But what I realized was cash flow just, not to, play on.
Hey, there's a reason we named it this.
Cash flow is different than what stays in your pocket. Cash flow flows through your business. It's not your profit level.
Right.
But what I understood is getting to figure out what was just flowing through the business and what actually was staying, and focus on the areas of my business that were creating the profits that stayed in my pocket. So that became more of a niche. But balancing all of those plates plus my family.
Right.
And I'll be the first to admit I didn't do that well in the beginning because I love to work so much. I praise God that I don't need a lot of sleep because I don't sleep a lot. So I would put when I had my son, I would put him to bed at 8 o'clock and I would stay up and work until his 2 o'clock feeding. I would feed him, then I would go to bed and get up at 6 and start all over.
Wow.
So I'm grateful that I don't require a lot of sleep because I don't. So, but I worked a lot, and getting that family balance was important. Not always the easiest, but it is doable. You have to be a planner, a block scheduled planner, and I'm incredible at planning.
We've had several people talk about block planning.
Yeah.
And so I think that must be a thing.
Yes, it is a thing. But here's what's really fun is raising kids while being an entrepreneur and bringing them into the fold of business.
Sure.
They were responsible, my children, of giving me their schedules, their calendars. So if you have a basketball schedule, turn your schedule into Mom as soon as you have it. As long as I know ahead of time, I can schedule my work around your activities and be there for those things.
Right.
It required them to be responsible of turning in their schedules to Mom to make sure I've got it in plenty of time to mark it on my calendar and be there for those events. And that was important to me as a mother.
Well, as a father, a guy that I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, but I also, when we finally had children, like, you can't get that time back.
Nope.
And I think you're left with that choice of how do I balance? I love what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I always have.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you balance? I love what I do, and I love my family, and I love myself, and I love golf. I mean, how do you? And the phrase I use is, you don't want to be who's who in business, but who's he at home.
Correct.
And in a little bit, I know we're going to talk about balance, and I think work-life balance is maybe an overused phrase.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds to me like you know how to actually plan it in a way that you can accomplish it.
Well, I want to preface one thing. If you're listening to this podcast and you're a new entrepreneur and you're thinking that, oh, I can just work whatever hours I want, I can do whatever I want to do, that is just such a lie. It is it's such a lie. Don't let anyone tell you you can do this and work 12 hours a week and make it. That's a lie. That is just false. So anytime I took off to be at a kids event, that time had to be made up somewhere.
Right.
So if I took off early at 4 to go to a ball game of my kids, well, I still had to make up those hours that I missed at the office. So I don't want people to get a misconception of, I'll just go open my own business and I can work whenever I want to. Well, you can. That's actually true. However, it still requires a heavy load of hours to make a successful business. You just get to allocate when you work. So which is why I would work till 2 a.m. sometimes by choice, but it was also out of necessity as well.
Cool. So was there a pivotal moment for you? Was there one thing that happened that really changed the trajectory of your business?
I think pivotal moment. I think a pivotal moment is when I got to see the momentum start happening.
Oh.
When you work reality is, if you're a new business, if you make it to 5 years, you're pretty darn lucky.
Yeah.
If you make it to 7 years, you're even luckier. If you make it to 10 years, you're there.
Yep.
So I think for me, that first time of really seeing the sales shift and seeing the momentum start happening, that was pivotal to me, because it's like, it's happening. It's happening. I was very well aware that if I made it past 5 years, my chances were pretty darn good.
Sure.
And if I made it past 7 years, that's when you really got to see the momentum and the growth.
Right.
And I think I'd really want to pour into people that are thinking about starting a business or in business and it's hard. Just know that those metrics are real. If you can make it to 5 years, you're going to be okay.
Right.
You've weathered a big part of the storm. You're going to be okay. Doesn't mean you don't get to stop working at 5 years, but you're going to be okay. After 7 years, there's something magical about 7 years, because that's when you start to see the income. It just starts coming. I can't explain it, but it happens. And after 7 years, that's when you really get to define exactly where your business is going.
Okay. So your pivotal moment then was really just recognizing that you had built momentum.
Exactly.
And momentum is precious in any
Mhm.
business. I think we're all trying to figure out, how do we build momentum in
Mhm.
whatever we do?
Mhm.
And we work real hard, and then we're spinning all these plates.
Right.
And momentum comes from a lot of places, and sometimes it comes mysteriously.
Mhm.
I know in my own career, like, I looked up one day and went, "Oh," and it was at about 7 years.
Yes. Isn't it cool
Yeah,
though? But
yeah.
you're like, there's something about 7 years. It's crazy, but it's so true. But momentum for me is consistency.
Right.
It's being consistent in what you do every day. That consistency does have to start with a very clear vision of where you want to be, who you're serving, and how you're serving them.
Right.
Because it's not just about photography, for instance. I started my first studio. Gosh, I was horrible. I was a terrible photographer. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was good with people, and
Right.
I made them feel special, and I made them want to be in front of my camera. That was important. I had that figured out. That's something I is part of me, making people feel very welcome and comfortable. That is something I can do well. But having that consistency and knowing what my goals were and my vision for my business, having that clarity, and then you dig into your consistency and don't deviate, because if you get off your consistency, you're just going to implode. It's not going to go well.
Is that something that can be taught, like how to best, I guess it's communicating with people, but maybe just to view people that they're legitimate people and we should be friends with them and be patient with them.
Mhm.
Is that a thing that can be taught to a guy like me who's impatient?
Well, I think anyone can be taught, and I think anyone can be influenced and impacted, but it happens in different ways. I think if you're genuine to your belief system and to who you are as a human being, that impact is going to weave its way into cash one way or another.
Well, I want to say that I did figure it out.
Good.
And I think the great value in all of, at least in my business and the endeavors that we're all mutually entwined in the networking world, I think the real beauty is just people and
And
the friendships.
yes, 1,000%. And I think what's so interesting is when you as a human stop taking things personally and you love who you are as a person, nothing else around you impacts you.
Right.
You get to just be the impactor, not the impactee. And you may or may not like me, but Cash, I like me.
Right.
That's all that matters.
And that is all that matters
And
in the relationship.
exactly.
Yeah, very
And
good.
God loves me, and that's all that matters. All I can do is pour my best into you, but it's up to you
Right.
to let it come into you or
I
not.
like the phrase that God loves me. And I had somebody that was in my world that had wisdom. And he said, "Cash, God loves you just the way you are." I'm like, "Yay."
I know.
And then he said, "But he loves you too much to leave you that way."
Exactly. Oh my
and,
gosh.
and that sort of tells of the journey of
Mhm.
maturity.
Yep.
And,
Absolutely.
and I think back to when I was 20, when I started my business. And I'm in the financial world. And I had about $3 saved up. And, just that journey though of seeking wisdom, seeking maturity.
Mhm.
But once you find that you've achieved those pieces, I think you and I would agree that it's a lot easier to have confidence moving forward.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I want to ask you, how have you, in this world of change,
Hmm.
we're all endeavoring great things, but there's a world of change. How have you kept up technologically in this world of change? Because I know that, we're doing a podcast. There weren't podcasts, 40 years ago
I
when I started,
So fun.
but here we are doing it, and we have, that's a mouse. Is that? How
Whoa.
awesome is that? Like,
That's fast.
I think everybody, like they say, oh, the amount of technology in your wristwatch is what we launched the Apollo missions for.
Right?
The amount of technology in my mouse is what we launched the Apollo missions with.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true or not.
It's close, though.
Good selling point for the mouse.
Well, yeah.
So I'm sorry, I interrupted there, and I blame Kenneth. So how do you stay innovative in what you do? That's technology, that's belief. Innovation comes in a lot of areas. How do you stay innovative?
For me, I think it's always mindset and the intentional ability to accept change and to look at how change can benefit me and also recognize how change doesn't benefit me. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should.
Right.
Just because there is AI in the world doesn't mean that you should use AI in every area of your business. I think having the ability to recognize what is for me and what is not for me. And that's really important. But that goes back to that consistency and the clear vision of what my business is meant for and the mission behind my business.
So from a technical standpoint,
Mhm.
were you shooting on film when you first started?
Yep.
I had a photographer that we used. I love the guy, and and I remember him telling me how this digital thing was on the way,
Yeah,
and he wasn't going to embrace it,
right.
and then he embraced it.
Because he
I,
didn't have a choice.
he
That's
did
why he
right.
was forced.
Yeah. I don't have a dial-up phone anymore,
Yep,
and I don't have a CB radio anymore.
right.
You
Those
know,
were cool, though.
they were cool.
What was your handle? Did you have a
Uh,
CB handle?
I don't remember. I wish I'm going to make up something at the break. That was, but we'll come up with something. Speaking of a break, Kenneth,
Hey,
why don't we say hello to one of our advertisers while we take a moment?
sure. Yeah. And you can think of that CB handle while we're doing it.
I'm going to work. I need a good CB handle.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I was a bad driver, but
Okay.
I did have a CB radio. It was the coolest thing ever. When I'm 16, I got like one of the handhelds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have been like, I think it was like Captain Neckfat.
Well, I was thinking like
Wow.
train wreck or something.
Yeah, even that.
Okay.
All right.
Well, let's go ahead and talk to one of our sponsors then.
All right. Thank you.
Or talk about them. All right, today we're going to highlight MFP, My Financial Plan. With My Financial Plan, keep everything you own in one secure, accessible place. See everything you own and know what everything is worth. Benefits include a personal financial website with daily balances, interactive decision-making tools, a secure personal vault, and budgeting tools. It's accessible anytime, and you can get it for yourself at joinmfp.com.
All right. Thank you, Kenneth. I appreciate that. We are here today with Pamela Jean. Pamela Jean, anewlife.com. She is a business coach. And for those of you who are entrepreneurs, I know you're loving this session we're doing today. And this is probably somebody that we all ought to get to know a little bit better, because there's a battle between success, significance, and being a good dad or a good husband or a good friend, or even take care of ourselves. There's a phrase floating around that I'd never heard before called self-care.
Mm-hmm.
And is that something you speak into for business owners about making sure to take care of themselves?
Absolutely. If you're not taken care of as a person, if you're not well, nothing in your life will be well.
Right.
Nothing will be healthy. It all starts with you. And I want to speak to the working moms. And I know I'm not a working dad, so I don't know what it's like for you. But as a working mother, it was really difficult to find time for me.
Right.
When you're taking kids from, soccer to basketball to dance to whatever, it's this crazy cycle. There's not a lot of time left for me. My time for me came really early in the morning. Thank goodness I'm an early riser and I don't sleep much. So those are benefits. But the self-care time for me is really, really important. You have to have time for you. If you don't make time for you, no one else will.
Right.
And you will burn out. You'll drain out. You will not be at your best. You're not going to grow your business in the way that you want to. You will not grow and nurture your family in the way that you want to. And honestly, You don't want your family, your children to have what's left of you.
Yeah.
You want your children to have the best of you.
Right.
So if you're not doing self-care, now that could be everything from taking 30 minutes a day to go sit in a park and read a book. Take 15 minutes in the morning and spend some time with God. It could be very small things. It doesn't have to be big, giant things. But as we kick off a new year, go to your calendar right now today and schedule vacation. Schedule time off, period, intentional to be with your kids. It doesn't mean you have to go on an expensive vacation. It could be a staycation. Stay home. There's
Sure.
so much in your backyard that you can do that your kids would love to do. But more than anything, they just want you. They just want you. You are the most important thing to your children. It's you.
Yeah.
So schedule your vacation, get it on the calendar, figure it out, make it happen. And that is a hard stop. There's nothing that can come up that week that you have scheduled that is more important than your family, period.
I agree with that 100%. One of the great breakthroughs I had in my business was when I realized that I didn't have to answer the phone on weekends.
Right.
Cell phone technology has been wonderful that we can all run our business from an airplane or a beach or somewhere else, but it also carries with it the equal problematic
It's a blessing
side.
and a curse,
Yeah,
for
and
sure.
it took me a while to realize, it's Saturday at 1 o'clock and I'm on the golf course. I don't have to answer my phone.
hmm
And that was liberating for me.
But I
And-
think it goes back to establishing your business foundation.
Right.
I have business hours. I have hours that I am working my business. If it's after hours, you will not hear from me.
Right.
I will not answer my phone. I will not answer my email. If I'm out of the office, I'm out of the office. Now, that doesn't mean I don't peek,
Right.
because sometimes I've got to see really quick. But I'm disciplined enough to know that my family is first, my time off, my self-care is really, really important. But also, as a business owner, it's our responsibility to teach our clients how to do business with us. Because Cash, if you teach your client that, 2 o'clock on Saturday, he's going to respond to me,
Yep.
they're going to expect a response from you every
Yeah, every
Saturday
time.
at 2 o'clock.
Yep.
If you respond on a Sunday, Sundays are like sacred to me. That is my day and that is my family day. You're not going to hear from me on a Sunday.
Right.
But if I respond to clients or do business on Sundays, I'm setting a precedent and an expectation that I will be available for them on Sundays. Now, obviously, you may have from time to time that you have to break that rule, but you have to figure out your business fundamentals and your business foundation and stick with it, because at the end of the day, you're the gatekeeper of what comes into your life and what comes into your home, and you have to follow your own rules.
Truth. Very, very good. I hope people are listening to this, mostly me.
Yeah.
And I'll go back and replay this one first. Well, so we just talked about technology, but what role has technology played in your actual business? Because once again, you said it perfectly. It's a blessing and a curse.
Yes, it
But
is.
talk about, surely it's helped you grow your business substantially.
Yes. What was really interesting is I started my coaching division about 8 years ago, planning it 10 years ago, dug into it 8 years ago. So pre-COVID, I was already Zooming. I was already working with people from all over the country. When COVID happened, all of the technology for me was in place. I didn't have to learn Zoom or Meet or whatever the other platforms are. I already had Zoom in place. So that has allowed me, instead of traveling all over the country to meet with businesses in their business, we can Zoom meet. That cuts down so much on expenses, the expense of traveling to them.
Right.
I can offer better services for my clients at a much better value than what I would have been able to if I had the expenses of traveling to them. To be able to work with people anywhere, anytime has been really helpful. And that's the coaching side. Plus the AI opportunities. I think AI is something that should be embraced. It's like think about when black and white film turned to color.
Right.
Oh my gosh, think about that. When film turned to digital, that was such a pivotal moment in that industry. It make or break for a lot of people. There were some photographers that, I am not doing it. I'm out. I'm done. I'm not learning one more thing. And they chose to close. The people that embraced it, it cut down on our cost of goods by so much. It was insane.
Right.
Cut down on cost of goods. So as photographers, we could actually be more profitable and not change one thing, not change our pricing, not change anything. Just the cost of goods went down because of film and not processing proofs and all of that. So there were so many benefits. And I think if you look at technology as an opportunity, not as a curse, just because you can do something doesn't mean you have to do it all.
Right.
But look at where technology is there to serve you and help you grow your business.
Yeah, amen. Technology's
for
been
it.
phenomenal for me, but it's, you can also get lost on the internet. It's easy to go lose an hour because you went to look up an email and then you check, Facebook and
Yeah.
one
Not
Cat
of the
videos.
cat videos. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have all the technology to change the world and positively impact every human. And we use the internet for cat videos and arguing with strangers.
I like how you said positively.
Positively. Yeah.
Pause.
But-
Thank you for that.
But the reality is, Cash, if you are disciplined in your business and you are loyal to your time, if you're disciplined and loyal to your time,
I'm going to write that down. Loyal to your time.
loyal to your time.
There's my takeaway right there.
Because if I look at what I have on my calendar today, and you will probably attest to this, I was not the easiest person to schedule, and I apologize for that, but my time is so specific and
Sure.
so detailed, and I'm loyal to my time that I can't do it hen because I already have something there.
Right.
I don't go down the rabbit hole of Facebook. I mean, hey, I'm down for a good cat video.
Right. Same.
Trust
All
me,
of us.
I am so there. But I'm disciplined enough as a human being and as a business owner that I'm loyal to that time. Time, oh my gosh, is the most precious commodity that we have. God gave you today.
Right.
He decided that, Cash, your eyes are going to open today. Pamela, your eyes are going to open today. He decided that I got to wake up today.
Right.
Not everybody got to wake up today.
That's true.
And I am going to be loyal to that time that I've been given. And I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole and waste my time while I'm at work. Because if I waste my time while I'm at work, it's taking from my kids. It's taking from my husband. It's taking from my grandchildren. So if you say yes to cat videos, which, hey, I'm down. But if you say yes to cat videos, you're saying no to
something
someone
else.
else that's more important than that rabbit hole.
So I think we have a great summary of what we would call work-life balance in your life.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of the people that are watching this today that are friends of ours in the networking group that we're all part of, maybe they suffer a little bit from that.
Yep.
And I think we all have a lot to learn. Loyal to your time, Kenneth.
There it is.
I think that is our phrase that pays.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Phrase that pays.
The
Ooh,
phrase
I
that pays.
like
Yeah, well, hey,
it.
we're,
Well, and there's 4 things to pour into the consistency. There are 4 things, 4 habits or things, whatever you want to say, that if a person would do every single day,
right.
is life-changing.
Can you share those 4 habits?
I'd be happy to.
Oh, I'm writing them down. Let's go.
Get ready.
I'm
Okay.
a student right now.
The first one is wake up at the same time every single day. Every single day. No snooze.
Life does not have a snooze button.
There's no snooze. So 4:40 is my time every single day. Move your body. Get some form of exercise every single day. I'm not saying, Cash, that you've got to join a gym and go bulk up. I'm not suggesting that. But move your body. Get some intentional exercise. Go for a walk. And if you are not someone who's physically fit and physically well, walk around the block once. Meet yourself where you're at, but move your body intentionally every single day. The third thing is make an appointment with God every day. And do not deviate. God's on your schedule. You don't miss a meeting with God if he's on your schedule. So he's on your schedule every single day. Spend time spiritual, reading the Bible, being in the Word, talking to God. The 4th thing is journaling and establishing and understanding what your gratitudes are. Because the more you look outside of yourself, the more you will be able to serve other people, but the more focused you are on outside of you. When you focus outside of you, it's always a good thing. It's always
that is
good.
beautiful. Wake up at the same time every day.
Mm-hmm.
Move your body. Make an appointment with God because he's there whether you are or not.
Exactly.
And he will find you.
Yes.
And then journal and share your gratitudes
Daily.
with yourself. That's beautiful. We
Yep.
appreciate that. So tell us real quick, what's your mission? Why are you doing all this? Why are you still Why are you still the way you are? Because the way you are is beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much. I love that. And it's been a process because I've learned so much over the years of being in business and tough relationships and tough life journey. Nobody's journey is perfect, right? We
Right.
all have a story. But what I've learned from my story is God's not done with me, and He wants me to pour into other people in the way that would serve Him best. We have an opportunity to bring Him into our businesses, to be able to pour into others and help them with all of the knowledge that I have. I've gleaned a lot from the ups and the downs of my life, and it's my mission to pour that into other people. I want people to be successful, not only financially, but relationally, socially, financially, their businesses, their careers. I want everyone to have that feeling of accomplishment and success, because the more abundance that I have, cash, the more abundantly I can give to other people. And that is my mission, is to serve other people. When I shifted from photography to coaching, it was a God transition. It wasn't me just deciding on a whim to do something. It was a guided mission. And I coach one-on-one primarily. My key course is Balanced Life, Balanced Business. It's possible to have a balanced life, balanced business. It truly, truly is. And that's what I want to share with people.
Very good. We're going to get a nugget from you just in one moment. Pamela Jean, anewlife.com, Balanced Life, Balanced Business, and coaching for the entrepreneur. And if you are not today where you want to be, doesn't it make sense just to get a coach? All the great athletes we admire,
Yes.
and a lot of the great film and movie people, they all have another set of eyeballs
Absolutely.
on their progress, on their behavior, on their habits,
It
and
doesn't-
on their money as well. They have
Absolutely.
coaches.
It doesn't matter how successful you are, you need a coach.
Right.
I've had a different coach for the last 8 years. Every year I hire a coach, and I study with one person for a year, each year, focusing on a very specific area that I feel I need a little bit of work. I want to get better with a certain area, so I'm going to find a coach to help me focus on that area.
Very
And
beautiful.
I've done that for many, many years.
All right. Well, let's walk away with a golden nugget from Pamela. What do you have for our listeners?
Okay.
Tell us something exciting.
My golden nugget. I want you to expect failure. I want you to look forward to failure, because what happens when something doesn't go right, let's say you create a marketing plan, totally bombs. What do you get from that? A lesson.
Yeah.
You learn a lesson.
Yeah.
You
Don't
learn,
miss the lesson.
you learn what doesn't work. Every single failure, every complex circumstance that you're in today is there on purpose. It's meant to happen to you, and you are meant to learn from it. So if you start looking at the hard times, the failures, the things that go wrong, the things that are really that you're struggling with right now, whatever that is, whether it's in your business or your life, if you look at that as an opportunity to learn and grow, and you pause long enough to say, okay, what am I supposed to learn in this moment?
Right.
And if you can focus on that, take the lesson, apply it to your life, apply it to your business, you will grow. Growing comes at a cost. That's why there are growing pains. We've all heard the saying, we have growing pains, right? When you're a little kid or your business has growing pains,
Right.
there's pain in growth. It's painful. It's not meant to be easy. You're meant to learn a lesson. If things are going smoothly, you're not going to learn. You're not going to push yourself out of your comfort zone to learn. So the painful moments are there to teach us a lesson. And if you can embrace failure and look forward to failure and dig those golden nuggets every single time, truly, you're going to find your balance.
That was beautiful. Expect
was.
failure. I think God tells us, consider it pure joy when you face trials, for they serve to strengthen you in the way of the Lord.
Absolutely.
And I think most entrepreneurs have probably had some share of that, but I think it's important to recognize it's an excellent part of the story, that it's necessary and that you don't want to miss the message.
Absolutely. The message comes from the mess.
Right.
And that's where you're going to get your message, is in the messiest times of your life and in your business. That's where you get the biggest message.
And what better person to share that with than your coach?
Absolutely.
And we are here with Pamela Jean. Pamela, thank you today. Pamela Jean, anewlife.com, talking about balanced business, balanced life. I may have that backwards: balanced life, balanced business. We all need to be in balance.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, very good. Well, Mr. Kenneth, this was a great show.
It was a great show.
You have to be loyal to your time
That's right.
because it's your time.
That's right.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. Are you ready to take us out of here?
Do we have to?
I could go another couple hours.
But we need to be loyal to our time.
Yeah, I've got to go do things.
Yep, that's true.
I'm redoing a passport for my young daughter so we can travel some.
Oh, sounds exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Well, let's wrap this up.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, first I want to say thank you to our sponsors who bring this show to life. Elevate Coworking here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, providing us the space. CM Customs for the signage and the friendship. ShopCMCustoms.com. I think I have that right.
Yes.
And Kenneth Bockham, thank you so much for your photographic and video and podcasting excellence. For those that want to learn more about either of those, Mr. Kenneth Bockham is the guy to go to. And I want to say thanks to the people watching, listening, and sharing this show. Thank you. We hope you enjoy the Golden Nugget. We hope you'll share this with people that you like. If you hate the show, share it with somebody that you don't like. Maybe that is the answer. And I want to say thank you to our 4 listeners down in Shawnee, Oklahoma. My relatives down there, thank you all very much. And to Ernie, Crego, and Stu Bob, my 3 buddies that are waiting for us down at Quick Trip. They are having, I think they got Red Bull and beef jerky half off today. So today's the day. We'll meet you all down there. Thanks for watching Cash Flows, and you all have a great day.
That's our show for today. Stay tuned for another riveting edition of Cash Flows.